Aloha, this is Adam Taylor, and I'm going to break down how I edited this image. This is one of my favorite portfolio shots, and it was pretty complicated to do. Let's unpack it. This is the final image you see right here. This is now the original image. This is the ambient frame that I started with and built on everything. Again, the final image and the original image. All right, let's go back to the beginning and see what we did. With the ambient frame here, I actually shot with a polarizing filter. So you can see the floor right here. It is got some detail in here, and that's because of the polarizing filter. It was turned at a certain angle. However, the vertical surface over here is very blown out. So the next thing I did was just turn the polarizing filter 45 degrees, or is it 90 degrees? Sorry, 90 degrees. I turned the polarizing filter, and that allowed this artwork to show up a little bit better. And you can see the ground here is now a little bit more blown out. So that's the advantage of having that polarizing filter. You turn it 90 degrees and either the horizontal or vertical surfaces get more or less blown out. So I painted in parts of that frame. So there we start to blend our ambient frames. The next ambient frame was just a little bit darker, well, a lot darker. And from that, I was just trying to blend in some of this middle area. So this is the frame, and this is after blending it in. So before and after blending in a little bit of that middle frame. Then we have a much darker ambient frame, and this is to get some of that outside view. Got that nice ocean, beautiful blue sky with no clouds in sight. And again, just blending in a little bit of that middle area. So before and after, you can see what is blended in there. Next, we're going to move on to the flash frames. So I blended 3 flashes before I blended the flash and ambient together. This is the main flash frame. A lot of brightness going on here, but still a lot of usable parts in this area. Next, you can see me right in the middle. So getting rid of the flashes that were in these corners. I had 2 Explore 600s in opposite corners, and then swap that out. And now I have an Explore over here pointing up at the ceiling to fill up this room. And then obviously there's me in the middle. And then we can use some of these areas on the right and left side. So this is after that's painted in. If you want to see exactly how much is used, just this. So essentially both edges took me out of the middle, and there we go. And now the last flash frame looks like this. Again, the flashes were back in the corner over here. What is different about this one? Let's see. If we show this one versus the main flash, not a whole lot different. I'm not even sure why I did this. I edited this a while back, so I'm kind of just reconstructing it now. But you can see here, just this little area here is what we used. So if we turn off these other layers, you can see just this area right over here was used to kind of fill in some stuff. So before and after, that's what it was. Okay, it was the hot spot over here on these pictures on the wall, the artwork over there. All right, and then I used a technique from Nathan Cool, his fast flambient blend. I've got an action set. I learned it from his YouTube channel. You can check it out. And I used that to blend in this flash frame. So if we turn off the ambient, here's how much of that flash was blended on top of the ambient. So ambient and flash blend. Now, I didn't think this was quite enough of the flash, so I actually just copied the entire thing over again. So I duplicated the flash blend, and that is what I ended up with. Then I moved on to what I call my fixes, so distraction removal. A lot of stuff going on here. We've got some distractions up here, light switch, some can lights, and this little, I don't know what circle thing, a vent, a light over, or a light switch over here. So just removing those distractions. Get rid of all that stuff. Even you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit. Right over here, this pillar, this outside column, just had a little bit of space there. Maybe the column wasn't straight, maybe the wall wasn't straight. And just so that that's not distracting, I just filled that little area in. So fixes are done, but we do have a little bit of distortion over here on the wall. Next was my distortion fix. You can also see that when I did that, I bumped up some kind of contrast and clarity there maybe. I do things a little bit differently now. This is now a destructive layer, meaning I can't go back and change it or see what I did here. Nowadays, I would put a curves adjustment layer on top of that. So I'm not exactly sure even how I came up with this, but again, you can see that punch of contrast and that little bit of distortion fix over on this wall. Then I realized after the fact, because I had already destructed the layer, I couldn't go back, but I realized that I had some kind of white halo around this thing and maybe a hot spot up here. So I went in and burned a little bit of that. Also, you can see at the top there was some shadows left over from that light fixture in my flash placement, or the sunlight maybe. So I fixed that with this layer. Again, this is a little bit sloppy editing. I try to do things a little bit cleaner so I can go back and fix things better now. But this was edited a while back, and this is how I did it. So you're getting to see the real deal here. Then I did some vignetting. So I probably just created a copy layer and darkened the entire layer, and then put this layer mask. You can see the mask there. You can see just how much I burned in the top and the bottom. So again, before and after. If you were to show the whole thing, you can see again it's just a darker layer that is an exact copy of this. And then I wanted to give this painting a little bit more contrast. So I just did a adjustment layer with some curves, a little S curve there, pull the blacks down, push the whites up, and that is just on that painting on this right side. Then I noticed there was some blue color cast going on. If you look right up here, there's some blue in this little black line. If you look on the table, there's some blue. And so I made an adjustment layer. You can see now there's no more blue on that table and no more blue right up here in this black area. So that is my blue color cast. Then this artwork over here was bugging me. It just wasn't quite straight. If you look, I drew some grid lines and then I just straightened up the artwork. So I'll zoom in here for you. Turn that off, turn it on. The artwork just straightens up to make it level both vertically and horizontally. Then I noticed that this pedestal also looked a little bit crooked. So you can see there's a little bit more space down here than there is up here. So this pedestal maybe just is a little bit off. So I wanted to straighten that out, so that's what I did there. And then that is the final image. Once again, you can see the original and the final. And that's how we did it.